Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for another special health focus Tai Chi and Qigong class. We're just having a wee conversation here. In fact, we've been talking for a while. I thought, oh, I should record this because this is good information. We're talking about Chen style, and personally, I feel that it's a useful practice for anyone interested in Tai Chi to at least do some basics of Chen style. And the reason being that Chen style is the origin of Tai Chi, according to our origin story. There are a few origin stories, and some of them are more fantastical than others. There's one where it states that a monk was sat watching a snake and a crane fight. And they were both very light and insubstantial creatures, but they had great skill and strength and sort of neutralized each other's attacks and all the rest of it. And that's a lovely story. That the thought was that this monk was inspired by these two very light but very powerful animals, and Tai Chi spontaneously manifested itself in the monk's awareness through watching these two animals fight. And though that is actually, I think, the Chinese government's official take on the origin of Tai Chi, it is not our school's official take, because we're from the Chen style lineage, and it's much more down to earth and not as fantastical and maybe not as romantic. But Chen Bu, I think his name was, between the Ming and the Qing dynasties, a great warrior and general in an army, won his campaign and came home to Yangjiaogou village, which became Chenjiaogou village after his name, and he slowed down his martial arts and mixed it with his knowledge of Chinese traditional medicine, and there his Tai Chi was born. And you might have noticed that I said Yangjiaogou, Valley of the Sunshine, that changed to Chenjiaogou, Valley of Chen. So you may remember that Yang style is one of the styles of Tai Chi, and there's no coincidence there that it was a gentleman from a Yang family, a family with the surname Yang, who infiltrated the Chen family through cunning and naughtiness. He pretended to be disabled and was brought into the Chen family as a servant and a cleaner, and he spied on them and stole their information and studied really hard. And when he was caught, instead of killing him, which was the dumb thing if somebody was spying on your family, the head of the Chen family said, okay, show me what you've stolen from us, show me your Tai Chi. And he was so impressed, instead of killing him, he adopted him and said, okay, now you're part of our family. So there's the Yang origin story. After studying for many years, doing Chen style, Yang went off to seek his fortune in Beijing and realized that not everyone wanted or could easily do all this aggressive Fajin stuff. And so he diluted, or rather softened, the movements and took away the spring-like gather and release of Fajin, and so Yang style was formed. And all the other styles of Tai Chi similarly have originated from Chen style, and all practitioners of Tai Chi in China tend at some stage to do a pilgrimage at least once to go back to Chen style and learn a bit, go to Chenjiaogou village and find out more about the origin. So regardless of what style you're interested in, I would encourage a little bit of practice in Chen style, just to understand its roots, to understand where it comes from, because all of the principles in Tai Chi originate from Chen style. Even when the flavor changes quite considerably, it answers to Chen style. If you apply Chen principles, you'll be doing good Tai Chi. So we were just talking there about the Laojia Ilu and Erlu. And if you think of the progression of a Tai Chi practitioner, we start with warm-up. So our basic movements to get our body ready to balance the Qua in the 8 directions forwards, backwards, let somebody in, left, right, and the corners. We get our kwa organized so that the dandian can roll easily inside the kwa. So we do our warm up. Then we tend to do standing practice, which builds structure, awareness, stamina, fortitude, and it gives our energy the best chance to flow through our bodies and heal us, and it brings our mind and our body together. So we have warm up, we have standing. Then we have silk railing, Chan Gong. So Chan Gong really gives us every chance to understand and learn the mechanism of movement and to marry the understanding of how the energy flows internally with where the power and strength is externally. So we would do Chan Gong, which is a whole series of repetitive movements to give our bodies a thorough understanding and a body memory, so we don't even have to think about what we're doing. When we do more complex movements, they tend to be a combination of silk railing moves or something that is akin to a silk railing move, so it has the same mechanisms. So there you have warm up, standing, silk railing. Then the next thing we would do is learn a form, and traditionally we would go straight into Lao Jia Ilu. So that's a long form, would take maybe 4 years. I took 14 years because I didn't have a regular teacher to guide me. But 4 years to learn 75 steps. And the form takes about 15 minutes to 20 minutes, 25 minutes maybe to perform. So that would normally be the next progression, but modern Tai Chi, after silk railing, you'd often learn the 9-step or the 19-step, or there are several shorter forms, Chen style forms, and then progress to Lao Jia Ilu. But after Lao Jia Ilu, that's old frame, first frame, then you have Lao Jia Arlu. Now, Ilu is internal practice. It is soft and gentle for the most part, with a few Fajin moves, so a few explosive punches or kicks. But for the most part, it's smooth and slow. So Arlu is also often referred to as cannon fist. So actually Arlu is more external. And that might surprise a lot of people because we so often talk about Tai Chi, we say it's a soft or an internal martial art, but actually Tai Chi is a full martial art. And you might see this symbol that we use ad nauseum, the yin yang, is the Tai Chi picture. So it has equal amounts of yin and yang. But if you're a Tai Chi practitioner, you may well spend 30 years practicing just the internal aspect with a few kicks and punches, mostly focusing on the internal. But then when you're ripe for it, when you've done enough standing practice, when your alignment is good and strong, then you may well go on to do cannon fist, to do Arlu, which is mostly external with a little bit of soft and gentle internal. So it has a lot of cannon fist. It has a lot of explosive Fajin type movements. That's the sort of winding up and release of energy. You could actually do cannon fist softly as well. You don't have to explode all the time. You could do them slowly and gently. However, it lends itself to explosive movement. So as I was saying, I was told at the beginning of my practice, you're not ready yet. You're not ready yet. You're not ready yet for cannon fist. And about 25 years in, finally, I convinced people to teach me it, and I loved it and I enjoy it, and it's great. But I practiced it a fair bit, not a huge amount, but a fair bit. And yeah, I hurt myself a bit because my hip is slightly out of alignment. I was not putting in enough time with my alignment practice to build a solid foundation of alignment. So with all this impact, it was actually jarring that little kink in my alignment. And so I pretty quickly knocked that on the head and stopped doing it so aggressively and so much. And so it really points out that sometimes when people say you're not ready yet, it may not be an ego trip on their part. It may be that they actually understand that you're not ready yet. And that's something that I had to learn the hard way through injury. It's like, oh yeah, that's not ready. It needs to be better alignment. So anyway, there we have the progression from warm up, silk reeling, warm up, standing practice, silk reeling. You could do your short forms like the 9 or the 19 step. There are many, there's an 18 step, there's loads of them. Then Laoja Ilu, which is what we would do in traditional training, we wouldn't bother with that short business. We'd go straight into the long form and do that forever. And then, if and when the time is right, add on Arlu, cannon fist. But wait, it doesn't stop then. Then once you've done all of that, you can go on to do what's called Shinja. So at the moment we're doing Laoja. In fact, we're not doing it in this class yet. But Laoja means old frame. Shinja means new frame. So it's just a slightly different style within the same system. And Shinja is more, it has more spiraling. It's more flowery and more challenging. And I have done some Shinja forms, followed them, not learned them properly. And I decided, you know what? No, I'm not ready for that. If I'm not ready for cannon fist, I'm not ready for Shinja. I mean, I can do it, but it's a question of at what level do you want to be able to do these things? And I want to be able to do it at a good level. I have my own restrictions, as we all do. And I like Laoja. I like the slow and steady and deep practice rather than Shinja is very beautiful and very showy. It's great for performance, but you need to be doing a lot of foundation work before you can attempt it to a good deep level. So there you go. There's the progression of Tai Chi in Chen style. And of course, in among there is push hands and Qigong practice as well. So these are other branches of the same practice. Pushing hands is the partner work, where you're literally touching the back of each other's hands. And if you're doing double push hands, one hand is cradling the other person's elbow, and you are weaving and dancing with each other to feel for each other's weaknesses so that you can, in theory, push each other over. There's also a static push that Yin Jun calls the push-push, where you're holding each other's chests and exerting energy, exerting pressure into the other person, and it's their job to redirect, neutralize, and send the energy back. So as you push them, they push you, and you see who can push the other one over. And it's difficult. So there you have Chen style. As I say, even if you're not interested in Chen style, it's very useful, especially to come and study with a master if you possibly can, or at least someone who has a teacher who has studied with a master, because there is information in there that affects your health. Obviously, all Tai Chi is good for your health if done correctly, but it will also inform all Tai Chi regardless of the style. So I was thinking about different, I know I'm chatting away today, sorry about that, but I was thinking about showing you different things. What I'd quite like to do today actually is a bit of silk reeling. As I was talking, I was thinking we should do some silk reeling. Silk reeling is very useful for all Tai Chi. Again, even if you're not using Chen style, you'll start to build the connection of mind and body. So let's get up and we'll do a wee bit of silk reeling today. And I might finish with showing you the 19 step. And have a little bit of trepidation with that because it's not one of the forms we did with Grandmaster this time. Honestly, I'd love to take you into Laoja Ilu, but we'll see see where it goes. Okay, so let us take right hand in fist, please. Left hand straight, pull back the thumb, feet together, hands together, and press forwards. Good. Relax down and open your stance. So we're still going to do a wee bit of warm up. We're going to do our little seesaw, hinging from the dantian, the body rocking forwards and back, and the hips going into the four corners. Good. And I want you to breathe. Now, Grandmaster, he's really keen on the warm-ups, and for good reason, and it makes more and more sense to me as I actually have started to do what he has said that we should do all along, which is lots and lots and lots of these. So even if you do 100 in each direction, you will find that you are balancing the 8 directions of your hips. And so it makes the rest of your Tai Chi so much easier. Not only are you balancing everything, but you are loosening and strengthening everything at the same time. So I can't strain enough how useful these simple, repetitive exercises can be for your general Tai Chi progression and your general health. So keep going with it. Make sure that your feet are shoulder width. That's a big one. If they're slightly too narrow, you'll start to hurt very quickly. If they're slightly too wide, same, it just won't feel right. So we have to do our best with the simple exercises to be thorough and fastidious in how we do it. And of course, if 100 hurts, then don't do 100. Try doing 50 in each direction. But be mindful of how you're doing it, because if you're doing it wrong, it's going to hurt. So let me show you it from the side. Do you see the way my body is not bowing or bending? It is like a plank, but it's a seesaw. Good. So this is your homework. I'd like you to build this movement up. I don't believe in sort of forcing the body to do anything, especially if you have health issues. But by increments, we can encourage the body to do a little bit more and a little bit more and keep it feeling safe and comfortable. Okay, so let's now change direction. And keep breathing. Let your breath, if you can, breathe through the nose. If you're breathing through the nose, you're warming your breath, you're moisturizing the air coming in, you're fighting off the bacteria that you may have in the air. Much better to breathe through the nose if you possibly can. Again, remember your shoulder width. Now, if you have to sit, this exercise is a little bit challenging because the pelvis is moving forwards and back. So if you're seated, the second exercise may be more useful to you. So let's do a little bit in a wee second. Keep breathing. And do you notice that your hips, the quality within your hips are changing as you're doing your practice? So after a while, everything becomes a lot smoother, more effortless, less lumps and bumps and jumps. Everything just flows a lot easier. And that's part of the magic of doing this repetition. It allows you to relax into your practice, but it's also warming the fluid between the joints and making everything nice and slick and smooth. Good. Do you notice I'm not collapsing my chest? I used to do it kind of like this, that my body was kind of flopping forwards and back. And I got some very good corrections and told, no, 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 not like that. Like this. Good. Okay. So let's move on to the second exercise. This time we're going into the four corners, but we remain upright. Now again, if you're seated, you won't be able to move your hips, but you can visualize. In fact, you can do both exercises visualizing it. Visualize, the way I do it, I think of rolling a marble around the inside of my hips. Whether I'm standing or seated, that's my little mental picture. And interestingly, sometimes when I'm in the presence of the Grand Master, all of a sudden, the feeling is different when we're doing this exercise together. And the only way I can describe it, it's like, do you know the sport curling? It's these big, heavy, round stones on ice, and it's like bowls, but on ice. Well, it feels, when I'm practicing this with Grandmaster, I notice it feels like a curling ball, or whatever you call them, sliding along on the ice. It has this very smooth, slick feel. I don't know why it is, but even my teacher has mentioned this, that if she's standing close to the master when they're practicing, it's like a little bit of the magic wears off, you know, rubs off on on you, and your practice is better. And I don't know if that's just sort of placebo or if it's a phenomenon, but it definitely does feel different sometimes when you're practicing in his presence, because he practices as well. He's doing it with us. But if you can visualize that your hips are gliding around on an ice rink, we want to keep the hips level. So that's a very nice way of thinking of it. Good. And let's change direction. Now, as I say, if you have any issues in your hips, little and often this will help. But it may not, it's unlikely to just sort it out straight away. So I often get little crunches and clicks. And you may notice if you're doing many repetitions that the crunch and click tends to be in the same place. It becomes predictable, so you're almost expecting it each time. But crunches and clicks are fine as long as you're not in pain. But do just check your alignment. And if you're using a mirror, that's very useful. So you can see if there's anything that is obviously not looking right. Because anything done in repetition incorrectly is more likely to cause injury in the long run. I have been there and done that. At one stage I had a knee issue, and I thought, okay, I'll record myself, so at least if I can't practice, the students will have a video. And I recorded class, and then I watched it back and watched warm up, and my knee was twisting maybe a millimeter. It was a tiny little twist, but I noticed it and thought, oh. And so the next time I practiced, I was conscious to avoid that twist, and 6 months of pain was gone in a week because I fixed it. So using a mirror or even videoing yourself can be very useful if you find that there is discomfort or pain in a certain move, because often if you analyze it just by looking at it, you will see, oh, that doesn't look quite right. Actually, videoing can be more useful than a mirror because you can step back and look at it and not analyze at the same time as you're actually practicing. Good. So there we have two extraordinary exercises, so simple, they're deceptive. The secrets of Tai Chi are hidden in plain sight. If we do what our master tells us, we'll get good results. But how many of us actually do? When he says, do 500 of these in each direction, most people go, and don't do that. So, but build up to your practice. Don't try and get there all in one go. Rome was not built in a day. Let's come back to center. Well done. And just listen to your body and ease from your stance. Okay, silk railing. So we have looked periodically at silk railing in this class, but we've never really focused on it in any great detail at any one time. So you have several moves in silk railing 1, and then you have several more moves in silk railing 2. Often people don't even bother with silk railing 2. A bit like cannon fist, they're just like, nah, too difficult, I'll stick with silk railing 1. I like both. I think it's good to do everything if you can. But let's go back to basics today, because going back to basics is what gives us the polish and shine, and we can build up. So starting with single hand silk railing. We're going to bring our feet together. We lengthen up through the top of the head, the chin slightly down and back. And as always with Tai Chi, the first practice is Wuji. Wuji means universal oneness or nothingness, and it basically means stand in good posture and relax. Calm down. And listen behind. Now your awareness opens when you use your peripheral vision and you use your peripheral awareness. It also brings us more into a state of flow. So we want to keep our awareness open, keep listening. But let's bring the awareness back to the front. Bring the awareness to the full surroundings. Use all of your awareness. And if your eyes are closed, gently, slowly open your eyes. Now we can engage the fingers, but go very softly. This was my correction. One of my corrections this time with the Grandmaster was that I needed to be much softer in my arms. Tension had crept back in. But I think studying with Grandmaster, I get tense because I'm nervous. But he was quite right. I had brought tension into my arms. So we need to be very soft. Soften your arms, soften your hands, but gently engage. We'll release belly, hips, and knees. I'm going to mirror for you at the moment. So you take your right hand to your waist and extend your left hand forward so the fingers touch your midline. Release your left foot, look to the left and step open, but keep your weight more on your right. I'm going to show you it face on, and then I'm going to turn my back because I know for some mirroring is very confusing. Okay, so do you see the way I'm touching my center line? Do you see the way my arm is in a curve and not an angle? So let's do it wrong so you feel the difference. Bring your hand more towards you and you'll feel your elbow bend. Notice how that creates a kink in your hose pipe, and now you don't have much energy in the arm. So we extend the arm forwards until we get a nice curve. So everything is smooth, energy can flow. Okay, so we start with movement 3. And we just gently turn on our axis, on our center line, gently turn and the palm flips over. So that's movement 3. We feed the weight across into your left, into the shoulder. The elbow becomes pointy just for a moment, and then unfold into the hand and fingertips. The hand now sits above the foot, so it's very boxy. It's not extended out to the side. Hand above the foot. Feel into the hand and fingertips and keep the shoulder blade slick against your rib cage. Now, movement 1, we release and turn. The palm slides down, palm facing forwards, and feed across, palm faces up. So we begin again. So movement 3, turn the palm. I call this call your waiter. It's like you're trying to get someone's attention, but gently. Feed across, shoulder, pointy elbow, unfold to hand and fingertips, and release, slide down, and feed across. Movement 3, we turn. Movement 4, we slide across. Movement 1, we turn. Movement 2, we slide across. Movement 3, we turn. Movement 4, we slide across. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we want to complete each movement before we begin the next. So at the beginning it might feel quite clunky. However, we want to continue. As soon as we finish one movement, we begin the next. So there is flow, there's a continuation. So we don't rush, but we don't hesitate either. We take our time and we continue. Now, at the very beginning, it's really important to understand what the physical body is doing. So it's useful to just practice with awareness of the shape of the movements, where the weight is, when you turn, when you untwist, all that physical stuff. But if you remember, I mentioned Tai Chi is an internal art. Actually, it's not about the shape on the outside, but what's going on the inside. Of course, the two are fundamentally connected. You can't divorce one from the other. But once you have an idea what you're doing here, then we can start to listen more deeply into what's going on inside. And that's what makes Tai Chi such a deep practice and why it takes so long to get good at it. It's worth it, I promise, but it takes a while. So let's have a look as we do this practice, what is happening with the energy. And if you're sore or tired, you can actually leave out. Say if your arm hurts, you can leave out the arm movement, just do the body and leg movement and visualize the arm movement. Okay, so here your energy is in center. As you turn, the energy flows up your back to between your shoulder blades. Now from the shoulder to the elbow to the hands and fingertips. Now back up the arm down to waist, and now it returns to center. Good. Less is more. Normally when people begin their Tai Chi practice, they do big movements. But actually, if you look carefully, I'm not moving very much. So back up the arm, down to waist, from waist to center. Let's do one more. Good, and the next time we'll step in. Good, and relax down. Lovely ease from your stance. So as I say, as always, we just want to do what we can comfortably. You may find you can just do a few sets and then you start to get sore. If that's true, we want to make sure that you're doing it well and correctly. But say if you have a long-term health issue, it may just be that you have to build up the stamina. So just do a little bit and then rest. Okay, we're going to do it on the other side. When I say this is where your energy is in your whole body all of the time. You are full of vitality. You are full of life force. So what on earth am I going on about when I'm saying this is where your energy is? Well, think of the movements that we are doing like a wave machine. You're creating waves of energy, or rather spirals of energy, that are flowing through the body. So our whole body is full of energy, and yet you're creating a vortex where the strength of the energy is focused. So that's what we're talking about. It's a focal point of energy. It's a powerful point of energy that we're tapping into, we're feeling for as we do the movement. So in effect, we are riding the wave or sitting in the vortex at the point where the energy is strongest, and that gives us power. So it becomes martial power. If we're fighting someone, we want to know, okay, now I can strike them with my shoulder. Now I can give them an elbow strike. Now I can push them. But if they push me, that is my swallowing aspect. That's me gathering the energy and rolling it up my back to create a spring-like potential, and then I can release it again. So it is a very practical understanding when we say this is where your energy is, feel for it. So if you can feel for it, you can use it. But we can use it from martial perspective, we can use it for healing perspective. And for healing, really, we just want the energy to flow. If our energy flows effortlessly and without impediment through our body, we'll be healthy on every level. And so that's what we're doing. We're doing a circulation of energy and we're following it with our awareness, and therefore we're further aiding the strength of the vortex that we are creating. So let's do it on the other side. You did it already with the left side, so now we're going to do it with the right. See if you can follow me this way. We lengthen up, chin down and back, relax down. Take a moment and calm. Gently engaging the fingertips, we release belly, hips, knees. Bringing left hand to waist this time, right hand extends forwards, look to the right and step open to the right. So the same again, we start with movement 3, turning the palm, we feed the weight across, shoulder, elbow, hands, fingertips, hand above foot. We turn the waist a little, shoulder and hip release, hand slides down, feed across, palm facing up, repeat, turn, feed across, turn, feed across, turn, into the right, turn, into the left, turn, into the right, turn, into the left. Energy comes up the back, to shoulder, to elbow, to hand, to fingertips, back up the arm down to waist, from waist into center. Keep going, please. Now, typically you'd want to do this hundreds of times, but just like our warm-up exercise, we need to build capacity for it. And if you have health issues, a little can go a long way. Just doing a little bit, a couple of minutes at a time, will pay dividends. Whereas if we try to blast to improve our health Too fast, what we can end up doing is actually wrecking ourselves and needing a lot of recovery time. So just do a little bit and then rest. Having said that, if this is done correctly, you should be able to do it for quite some time without fatigue, because it has inbuilt rest. Here is the rest position in center, and then it goes again, preparation up the back, action to the fingertips, recovery back to the waist, and center. And let's close. Good, and relax down. Well done. Personally, the thing that tells me when it's time to change or to stop is not actually the working hand at all. It's the hand on the waist starts to get arthritic and sore and going, I've had enough of that. Can you get out of that position? So we always have to listen to our bodies. And it's an ongoing lesson we have to learn again, or I have to learn again and again. Hopefully you'll be a bit smarter than I am, and when it hurts you just go, okay, I'll not force that. So there you go, that's silk reeling 1. And we don't have time for me to show you the 19 step today. Oh shucks, I'll show you it next time. I'll do a bit of practice on it in the meantime. But that is the foundation, that's the first step of silk reeling. Now we also have single hand stepping, so we did that without footwork. And the stepping really is not necessary, but is a very useful practice, again, to get our bodies used to taking steps. So I think to finish, we will just have a wee practice at the steps alone, just to get the feel of it. I'm pretty sure you've done this with me before, but it's been a while, so let's come over to one side. And for now, you can take your hands to your waist if you wish, but as I say, that hurts me for any length of time, so I'm just going to leave my hands gently down. We're going to lengthen up through the top of the head, the chin slightly down and back, and breathe and calm, relax down through your body. Listening behind. Okay, so we're going to release belly, hips and knees. Now in Chen style, when we step to the side, we use the heel, but it's just the first point of contact. As soon as your heel touches the ground, you relax the foot down. So it's not this. You see what if I go from the side, you're not kind of going heel. No, it can be soft, especially when we're starting out. So we just touch with the heel first and straight away relax the foot down. But the emphasis, if you like, is the heel touches first. The reason for this is preparation for a side kick. And if you're kicking at the side, you would use a little bit of power in the blade of your foot. So wherever you're kicking, that's where you want your strength to be. So even when we take a step, it's a preparation for kick, or it is a kick, but it's very soft at this stage. So we check posture, we relax down, belly, hips, knees, and we're going to kick it out very soft. Heel touches, foot comes down. We shift the weight across, and then the toe first on the stepping in and relax the foot down. Shift the weight across and heel, relax down. Straight away you relax, like ink on a brush, touching the water, it dissipates. That's what we want. We don't want any tension in the foot. We feed the weight across and the toe. So this is yin and yang. Feed the weight across, heel, relax. Feed the weight across, toe, relax. Feed the weight across, heel, relax. Very useful for building strength in the legs. Good, and let's change direction. Heel, relax. Toe, relax. change, heel relax, toe relax. Notice I'm not reaching, I'm not extending hugely. I'm just going to where my foot naturally hits the ground. Good. One more time. And close. Well done. So you can have a little play with that. But that's a training exercise. It's not yet Tai Chi because we need to add a movement from center that we will look at next week. Good stuff. So let's finish off, please. We rub our hands together. Let's lift the hands up and drape the wrists, and we'll just do a little bounce. Our 100 ailments go away, or the fascia hop, as the Westerners call it. Just bounce, 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 and let everything go floppy. If you want to work on bone density, you can actually impact your heels, make your room shake a little bit, and relax down. Very good. Let's just stand for a moment and feel the energy moving through the body. Isn't that lovely? Let's gather it up to center, hug your elbows gently in, and now breathe directly into your belly. And feel your energy is stronger. Beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today, for working so hard. I hope you are finding your own natural balance of how hard to push yourself. Remember, if it hurts, adjust. Just because I'm doing it doesn't mean that you have to do it. You can always leave the offending part out and just visualize yourself doing it. And remember to visualize yourself doing it perfectly, comfortably, and well. And that will stimulate the system to heal and to function better. So bit by bit, you'll be able to do it more comfortably. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you next time.